Synergetic journal videos of my individual, continuous, non-political manifesto. April 30th, 2026. Contemplating Synergetic Advantage. The Closest Approach to Eternity in God, Part 8. Christina Herlovson's ongoing research project. First off, let's be clear about the definition of the word manifesto. A manifesto is a type of declaration, a self-published statement that need not be issued by a political party or government, especially if the aim of it intends clarifying histories of mistaken assumption from false premises and reality bases that fervently cling to obsoletable belief systems regardless of the harm done throughout one's whole lifetime and the lifetime of human populations everywhere on Earth. Without question, although meriting innumerable questions from every echelon of the human condition. Presently, every nation in the world is in conflicts of seemingly unfathomable solutions that resorts to desperately competitive determinations to control the universal communication process correlatively with economics, which is not yet closest enough to a synergetic accounting, primarily because the highest and lowest positioned authoritative echelons continue to cling to obsolete pattern systems that do not resolve into symmetric components. The lowest positioned authoritative echelons are parents of children, whose early lessons likewise inherited both detrimental and instinctual dependent trial and error explored survival stratagems in support of life. As a consequence, those variously initiated hierarchical positions perpetuate unstable structural behaviors that tend to dysfunction, rendering humans as disposable collateral in order for the belief systems to survive regardless if the underway economics is an integral contribution to the sordid disadvantages across the board of multi-tiered actors on the world stage. So, let's cut to the chase today in pursuit of the understanding root causes concerning humans as a function of omnirational universe that in principle cannot omit commencing consciously coordinate thought language without a rudimentary awareness of the hierarchy of synergetic accounting advantages. We cannot deny that the genius Arbutminster Fuller made it abundantly clear to our contemporary observations what in principle is missing. Poets like James Joyce must have struggled to phrase the obvious, unremedied, sordid conditions, and even now, as my writing process got the word sordid from the cosmic stream, looking up sordid in Oxford University Press Dictionary and Thesaurus, and that aspect of my ongoing synergetics research project, I learned that sordid is the most appropriate adjective in this context as but one almost negligible component in mankind's spheres of self-other deceptions. Synergetics 141 through 143. Instead of resorting to PRJMWBSHM, politics, religion, justice, military, war, belief system, hierarchical matrix, that inevitably results in worsening human conditions, why not commence with a rudimentary awareness of the principle of the whole WHOLE system? After all, most of us have an access to the World Wide Web, the internet, to which we have grown so accustomed, albeit as a redirection of our buying impulses and favorite personality, favorite political party, favorite choice in support of what we temporarily value as an end-all be-all solution, despite its irrelevance to the geometry of thinking. The geometry of thinking in principle requires conceptual models to implement conscious, synergetic definitions, strategies. Those favorite obsessions lack incisive prediction effectiveness, which you could slough off as irrelevant compared to the fervor and excitement during political campaigns and crime scene scenarios, all of which represent the sordid human condition to some degree of its reenacting articulations. Granted, as imagination is absorbed when observing reproductions of human behavior in the ongoing universal communication process, one's metaphysical intellect does not automatically generalize every interaction to the triangle, much less the known sum of its angles, accounting to 6 parts that synergetically could make possible evaluating the other topological characteristics. In any event, humans tend to take the least line of resistance by resorting again and again to the early lessons of the PRJ, WBSHM, politics, religion, justice, military, war, belief system, hierarchical matrix. Now, though, as you are attending these repeatedly refined summations, mindful of a scheme of reference, let's be clear about the definition of synergetic geometry, since it deals with the most economical interrelationships of a plurality of events. The energy-time relationships are in geodesic units. This does not also mean dealing with the shortest lines by factoring out time, which is always accounted only in most economical self-experience. The energy-time relationships in geodesic units are vectors. In any case, geodesic means the shortest distance between 2 points on a sphere, with transformation tendencies. Besides, in quotes, spheres are just very high frequency geodesics, end quote. From RBF to EJA, Fairfield, Connecticut, Ches Wolf, June 18, 1971. We can evolve from absolute ignorance, educated ignorance, to appreciate anticipatory design science's omnirational realities, mindful that vectors exist only as energetic phenomena, in quotes. A vector always represents a product of mass and the velocity of a given energy entity operating in a given angular direction in respect to a given axis of observations. So we can confidently say every vector's mass times its velocity equals 0. The capability of vectors liberates metaphysical intellect and its cerebral circuits from restraints, so it makes no sense whatsoever to impose PRJMWBSHM restraints by denying vectors existing only as energetic phenomena, since, in quotes, the local energy content of a vector is its mass times its velocity, end quote. As we can study in Synergetics 521.08, in quotes, the size of a vector is its overall wave linear length, end quote. This doesn't also mean designing weapons for use that technically and literally supplant what ought to have come before resorting to irrational solutions, which in essence means starting with the universe, knowledgeable of the principle of design covariables that states angle and frequency modulation discretely defines all events or experience, either subjective or objective, respecting mankind's consciousness and that discretely defines all events of experience which altogether constitute e-universe. Synergetics 225.03. We are advantaged by an ability to paraphrase, which surely Mr. Fuller anticipated, by laying the groundwork to his extensively compiled investigations at every turn of events referential to his discovery of nature's coordinate system and his invention of the geodesic dome. There are no hierarchically positioned belief systems governing agencies and its powers to rule and regulate the human condition that compares to awareness of nature's deliberate design that is evident in all the fundamental nuclear simplexes of the 92 inherently self-regenerative physical universe elements that are a priori to the human imagination's conceptual formulations and inventions, which are discoverable by the human mind. Apparently, there is a great rush now to implement AI technology while sweeping under the proverbial carpet what ought to have been investigated at the outset and variously taken forks in the road during newly arising phases, stages, and proclivities of the internet as a popularized communication system. It is not too late to start anew, with eyes wide open, hoping to reduce the tolerance magnitudes of the residual inaccuracies of observation and articulation, which most economically include knowledge of the closest approach humans will ever know to eternity and God, which I have taken the liberty of more accurately renaming the sound word into eon. Universe, eternal, omniscient mind. Until next time, thank you. Gratefully, faithfully, eternally, Christina Herlovson. Contact herlovsoncristina at gmail.com.